For more right now, we're joined by Stephanie Grisham, who served as the White House press secretary during the Trump administration. Stephanie, good to see you again. I know you've been working hard this week as it's been election coverage.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. You know, first I got to talk to you about this word that allies are actually encouraging former President Trump to not make that announcement. He has several, in fact, New York Congressman Peter King, longtime Trump advisor David Urban, the New York Post, which used to be one of the former president's favorite newspapers, all saying that he should pull back and that it's time to, quote unquote, move on to another candidate for the GOP, another leader. How surprising is all of this?
It's not surprising based on what you guys talked about at the beginning of the topic here with the midterms. His candidates, because of his candidates, we did not run away with it like we should have. I know for a fact that a lot of advisors are also asking him to move his announcement on the 15th so that everybody can focus on Walker in Georgia, which is what should happen. That is what should happen for Republicans in order to take the Senate. Now, last night, he put out an announcement saying that he was going to hold a big announcement at 9 p.m. on Tuesday. So knowing him, working with him for 6 years, he's doubling down. I told all media that I think that they should have some kind of an off-the-record confirmation that he's actually going to announce that he's running. Otherwise, it could be an hour of him ranting, just like he was last night on Truth Social. I think he retweeted 20, or I guess it's not a tweet, but he recirculated 20 QAnon things talking about how much better he was than DeSantis. So he's clearly very, very upset and very worried.
Okay, so a couple of things, because you brought up two of my next talking points. One is...
Sorry about that.
No, you don't have to apologize. No, that's good. We're right on track. We're right here. Right here.
Yes, exactly.
The first thing is, would he ever change his calendar? I mean, when you think about it, who has enough influence over former President Trump to encourage him to change the announcement that he's been leading up to for so long?
So I was asked that very question many, many times yesterday, and there's just a handful of people. And I think those people actually will say, don't move your calendar. I have a feeling he's going to try to go back to what we had in 2015. I joined his campaign in July of 2015 when literally he had 7 to 10 people around him. I think that's what he's going to try to go back to. I don't think it'll work this time around, but I think he's had it with all of the advice he's been getting. I think he's absolutely so livid about Ron DeSantis that he's going to, again, just double down and try to get in there now so that to try to make it so that DeSantis does not run. And
speaking of DeSantis, which was my second point to get to, this very long and lengthy statement that the former president put out, as you mentioned, circulating on Truth Social, saying things like Ron DeSantis is, quote, an average Republican governor with great PR. Let's start there. Why is he so adamant about bringing attention to his beef with the governor?
This is what he does. This is always what he does, especially when he feels backed into a corner or nervous. He starts putting out, nicknames and insults and trying to take credit for every good thing that's ever happened ever. So this is just his pattern. I talked last night on my own Twitter account about that was a long statement even for him. And the length of a statement shows honestly how afraid he is. So he's very, very nervous. It's interesting. And I've also been interested to watch Ron DeSantis not react to it, which I think is brilliant. He shouldn't react to it. He needs to just govern his state. I think that the stark difference right now is that Trump is, lamenting all the bad things that have happened to him while there's a hurricane and terrible weather heading to Florida, and Ron DeSantis is just keeping his head down and working.
Yeah, well, some people would say he's nervous. Some people would say he's fighting mad. Thank you very much, Stephanie, for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.